Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dalaran, and in today's video, I want to talk a bit about islands in patch 8.1, some of the changes that Blizzard is making, and this is one of those changes that is like, why wasn't this done a while ago? Don't get me wrong, I'm happy about patch 8.1, and I cannot wait to finally be able to play the game, kind of how it feels like it was meant to play. But some of the things patch 8.1 is doing have been just so common sense. I'm surprised that Blizzard hasn't done them in a hotfix or a while ago. So this one in particular is about islands, and islands have been this type of feature that's not for everybody, and in terms of farming methods for it have been a little bit skewed. Blizzard is going to be making changes to islands and how you farm all the different mounts, all the different toys, all the different pets and goodies that you might even be able to sell in the auction house, and they're trying to make it a little bit easier for everybody. The current system of how to farm any of these special goodies on islands is a little bit off. The current system we have right now for islands is weird, but this is generally how it goes. Let's say there's certain toys or certain transmog pieces or certain mounts that you want to farm, but the way you do this now is by killing very specific mobs on the island. Let's say there's a certain toy you want to farm with the Hosen, maybe a toy that's a magic banana that turns you into the Hosen. It's hilarious, and to be able to use it in raids with a bunch of friends is a lot of fun. But you are trying to farm for this toy, you're trying to see if you can get any other kinds of goodies. The only way to do this on the island currently is to kill only Hosen Elite rares and basically ignore everything else. The problem with the system is you're trying to farm as many of these enemies as possible, and you're trying to only hit only those rares. You're trying to cut down the time you're spending fighting anything else on the island. So in majority of my footage, for example, on the island, I'm kind of just trying to focus on the Naga rares. I'm ignoring any others. I'm ignoring all crocodiles, all crabs, all serpents. I'm ignoring everything, and while my whole team is trying to be as efficient as possible in clearing the island, for me it's a lot more efficient to just find those big name rares and focus on those. This makes the whole island system a little bit skewed because you're not really trying to complete the actual island, you're just running around and trying to almost prolong the experience, trying to make sure you kill every single one of those rares. This makes the experience a little bit more of a drudge and a little bit more of a hassle, I would say. It's also a little bit annoying in terms of having to find every one of these rares, and then let's say you have a team that would rather do the objectives on the island, you would rather wait for the invasions, you would rather do other things, but instead you're running around trying to kind of maneuver your way around the island and only hit certain aspects instead of enjoying the whole island and everything it has to offer. So if I'm, let's say, a disc beast and I can solo the island fairly well as a low level with a bunch of legendaries, and I have a group with a mage and a paladin who might be taking on bigger mobs and are struggling and actually need my help, it's actually a lot more of worth for me technically to just run around by myself and attack certain key mobs by myself as to not drop full packs of mobs onto me at once. So the type of reward we have kind of becomes unhealthy in terms of how you end up playing it, and then the player interaction. It just doesn't feel quite as satisfying in the long run, and I feel like overall has negatively affected the islands. On one hand, I could play it like a normal human being, you know, running with my party, or I could be, and easily, running by myself while I have all my legendaries and trying to see if I can get the most amount of value, if any kind, out of these islands. Islands already offer a fair amount of XP, and I'm going to be completing it anyway. I might as well hit every single rare of a certain kind as much as I can to see if I can get a lot more value out of the goodies that I may or may not be able to get. What Blizzard is doing in the next patch though in 8.1 is changing how that goes, and this will mostly be with the mobs that start on the island. Let's say, for example, this week you're gonna have a certain island and you'll have, let's say, the Jinyu or the Pirates. Pirates will be the greatest example because I'm trying to farm up the Pirate mount for that one. So let's say the Pirates are inhabiting the island, and in patch 8.1, because those Pirates are inhabiting the island, killing any rare and even for completing the actual event, the island itself, is going to be enough of a reward to account you for any pirate rewards. So it doesn't mean you have to run around killing every single pirate rare. You can do anything in the island. Just for playing the island, you'll have a fairly high chance of getting whatever loot you would get from the people that occupy it. In a sense, it would allow for players to focus less on hitting every single rare and avoiding certain mobs, and rather you can actually mass pull things if you have a group for it. You can actually go do certain objectives and events without having to focus only on the pirates, as everything else would feel like it's kind of a waste of time. And then of course whenever evasions come in, you can go and enjoy those without having to solely focus on one specific type of a mob and specific types of rares. That paired with the idea that cosmetic rewards are higher to earn on higher difficulties. It means if you're running this in Mythic, you have way higher chance to earn whatever cosmetic rewards you're looking for. I feel like this type of system would promote a lot more healthy ways to play the islands, instead of having to bum rush towards certain rares and trying to maneuver your way around the island. It would actually allow the groups to choose how they want to do the island. Do they want to pull a large pack of some mobs and just nuke them down, focusing on damage, survivability, healing, whatever it might be, and overall team play? Or do they want to go and do certain key objectives that are marked on a map with an X? They might be able to want to maneuver around the mobs, but at least they'll be doing it as a group. It will require more of that group gameplay and group focus. Blizzard is already making great additions to the island system by adding vendors. That means you'll have certain amount of rewards that you can get after farming the islands or simply being really good at them. You will eventually be able to get all the currency you need in order to get some or most of the cosmetic rewards, or maybe reputation, or maybe certain mounts, or whatever it might be. So it's good to have that type of system where you have tangible goals, but I also think it's a good idea to change up a little bit how loot functions on islands as well. I really like this idea because it will encourage, I feel like, more healthier ways of going about and playing the islands. It'll be more about efficiency rather than trying to almost like cheese the mechanic. I'm not a huge fan of like having to cheese certain parts of the game, because it feels like I'm playing it the way it's not intended to be played. And overall, with me and how I end up doing most of my islands, where I'm trying to be hyper efficient, kind of leaving most of my teammates in the dust, because I can literally solo the whole thing if I try really hard. Or especially if I'm on a lower level character that has still all of my Legion legendaries, nothing really stops me from, you know, abandoning my team. I think it's a good idea to just find ways for, I guess, developers to change certain aspects of the game to encourage more of team play, to make it less of like a one-man army type of deal. So overall, I'm actually very happy with this change. I think it's a good, healthy one actually out of all of them. And overall, kind of excited about this one. Let me know your thoughts on the islands. I'm actually very excited with a lot of changes in 8.1, and islands combined with the brand new islands that we'll be able to farm might actually be a piece of content that I'll be investing a hell of a lot more time into. Right now, the only way I've been enjoying islands is using them to level my characters, and even then, after a bit of time, I really need a break and just level normally, you know, through questing and killing mobs and out in the world and killing rares and hunting for treasures. So maybe this will encourage me to explore islands a bit more in the future. Who knows? Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see all of you in the next one.